Welcome to Young Americans Abroad, your best place to find weekly content on young American soccer players playing overseas. My name is Austin Van Turen.
And my name is Patrick Ferry.
And welcome to our show. Well, we have a few new names we want to bring up this week, including Julian Green.
We also have Romain Gall in Sweden.
And obviously, we got to talk about Christian Pulisic.
And last but not least, a Shaq Moore game-winning goal sighting. So let's get into it.
So speaking of Julian Green, he actually played 90 minutes this weekend and had an assist in Greuther Fürth's 2-1 win over Eintracht Braunschweig. So that's exciting. That's good news from Julian Green.
Yeah, and so how's Julian Green doing so far, just on his loan there? Because like many of us U.S. soccer fans, we haven't heard much from him since the last World Cup that we were at.
Yeah, that's true. So I have that information for you. So Julian Green's actually played in 15 matches this year for Greuther Fürth. He only has 1 goal and 1 assist, which isn't really
That's not very
promising.
good.
Yeah, but he's played a lot of minutes. I believe he started pretty much every game that he's played at Greuther Fürth. So that's something to take away from this season. Obviously, Julian Green's 22, so any game time or consistent game time he can get is good.
That's still good development age. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And how is he doing? With just a year left for Stuttgart there, and we were just talking about him on loan.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think in possible scenarios, or just kind of seeing how he does, finish out the season here, and then go back to Stuttgart and try to force himself into the team's plans, or?
I think that might be a little ambitious right now.
Sorry, too ambitious.
Yeah, just to give maybe some more clarity, Greuther Fürth currently sit in 16th position in the 2 Bundesliga, which is in the relegation playoff zone, so that's not so great. His team sits only 4 points above SV Darmstadt, which is another team that we have two Americans
right?
at. Yeah, Terrence Boyd and Mackenzie Gaines. But that's not good, obviously, for Julian Green, and it's not good for Greuther Fürth. So I can't say when this loan ends at the end of this season that he'll be able to force his way into the first team at Stuttgart. I think that's a little wishful thinking right now. But
we need a little bit of that right now, right?
Yeah, we can hope, and hopefully when he gets back to Stuttgart, maybe they'll find another spot for him to go on loan to that might aid in his development even better. But right now we're keeping an eye on him at Greuther Fürth, and it's good that he had an assist this weekend, his first one of the season. So hopefully more good things come. Yeah, for Julian Green. So now we want to switch over to the championship this week and talk about Antonee Robinson again. So how did he do this weekend?
So Antonee Robinson played 90 minutes in a 0-0 draw against Norwich City there. So it was a different formation that Bolton lined up in. They were in a 5-3-2 instead of a 3-5-2. So we weren't seeing Antonee Robinson pushed up as much like we're usually used to.
Hey, that's good. More experience sitting back and defending.
Exactly, yeah. And so, like Austin said, we know his quality going forward, kind of, but sitting back and kind of on the back heel against Norwich, which Bolton only had 24% possession. So you can imagine that was a completely opposite experience for Antonee Robinson, which is great that he gets those experiences in the championship, and hopefully after this loan he'll come back to Everton better prepared, and that'd be great to get some Premier League games. But we're excited on Antonee Robinson, and he's been providing a lot of assists over the championship season.
It seems like it. I feel like every time we talk about him or check in on him, he's either getting an assist or doing good things going forward. So
he's always up to something.
Yeah,
but,
that's fair.
But switching gears, we're not talking about the Belgian Jupiler League. Actually, the Jupiler League, Austin, another exciting prospect.
Yeah, so the prospect we're talking about is Andrija Novakovich, who plays for Telstar. And Andrija actually had a goal and 2 assists this weekend. So
he's been putting up some pretty good numbers, right? Over the course of the year.
Yeah, he actually has 13 goals and 5 assists this year in the the second league in the Netherlands, the Jupiler League. So that's some exciting stuff to see. This past weekend, he looked very active in the game, looked very aggressive. For the second assist in that game, he actually stole the ball from the center back and kind of just ran into space and looked very, very dangerous going forward.
Nice.
So it's good to see, a young American striker really commanding the game when he comes in. What's also exciting as well that we want to mention is he's also logged over 2,100 minutes this year for Telstar.
So he's getting some serious game time.
Yeah, so he's 21, so that's exciting stuff for a player of that age getting consistent minutes, you know, in a league that offers opportunity for younger players, which is good, which is what he needs on loan.
And it's exciting to see all these goals and assists producing from an attacker, which, you know, as Americans, we're looking for always to bolster up that national team front line. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah. So hopefully we hear more about him in the future. I know this was a player that a few people we've talked to are really excited about, so we'll hopefully report more back to him in the future. But now we want to switch gears and go back to the championship. And we want to talk about a player in the championship, and that's Cameron Carter-Vickers. So Pat, how has he done this weekend?
Yeah, so CCV was really in a how do you kind of call it, a really physical kind of kickball scenario almost with Preston North End. They were able to get the win there and another clean sheet for Ipswich Town.
Okay.
So, you know, since Cameron Carter-Vickers has been there, Ipswich defense has been, you know, much more, you know, better at keeping clean sheets, which is great to see. But it was definitely if you're a big soccer fan or football fan, it wasn't the most beautiful game it was just kind of, like I mentioned before, a kickball, very scrappy, but that's really where CCV thrives.
The soccer purists.
Yeah, not for the soccer purists. Exactly, but, for CCV, winning all those aerial balls, headers, just kind of really physical game, forcing his will in the defensive back there.
What he's good at.
Exactly what he's good at. But one little concern I've had, and it's been, even we saw Sheffield and on his other loan and carried on to now.
Yeah.
His passing out of the back, which is something I know.
It's sketchy.
It's a little sketchy, yeah. He
good.
did not. He completed, I think it was around 50%, maybe less, of his passes in this previous game. And as a center back, you want to see a little more confidence going forward, be able to link up with the midfield. So hopefully he can improve on that during this loan.
Yeah, and it was, a very bad game or a very sloppy, disjointed game. So hopefully that played a part in the fact that his pass success rate was so low. So we'll keep monitoring him and keep reporting back on him.
Exactly. And then another, Christian Pulisic here you want to talk about. For Borussia Dortmund.
Wow. I don't know. Do we really want to talk about him recently? But he played again in 2 games this past week. So the first game was on Thursday in Dortmund's Europa League tie with Atalanta, their second leg of that tie. They tied Atalanta 1-1, but they advanced.
Aggregate, right? Yeah.
Yep, on the 3-2 aggregate. So they'll play FC Salzburg in the next round. And in this game, Christian Pulisic played about 60 minutes, came off, I believe, in the 59th minute for Marco Reus.
And Reus has been, great form since he's come back.
Yeah, he's played really well for Dortmund. So
hopefully Pulisic steps it up a little bit.
Yeah, we can hope that. He played okay in this Atalanta game, kind of like his past few games. Has showed a few areas or, a few parts of the game where he looked good, but then other parts of the game he kind of looked a little sloppy, didn't really get in sync with some of his teammates, and like we talked about, he was subbed off in the 59th minute, so that's not super promising, especially for a player like Marco Reus, that they wanted to get on the pitch and make a difference in that game. They were down 1-0 at the time, and then they ended up getting that crucial game-tying goal that put them ahead in aggregate.
And that's something
on to the next round.
Yeah, and that's something, Pulisic, especially with Reus being back and all, Dortmund's quality as a team, your form drops a little bit, but this is a really trying time, like we've mentioned before, for Pulisic, that hopefully, he gets a good run of games, maybe a nice goal or assist, will kind of get him back in the flow.
Yeah, and like we talked about in last episode, not only Reus is back, but they also have Schürrle. I know Jadon Sancho just returned from injury and training, so he'll be thrown back into the fold, a player who played pretty well before he got injured. Also, Maximilian Philipp and Andrija Novakovich are also on the team, and they're both injured right now. So hopefully, not hopefully, I guess, for Pulisic, but when they come back, there'll be more competition for minutes for Christian Pulisic. So now is kind of the time where we're a little nervous about him. But another game that he played in this week was this past Monday, the day that we're recording right now. They played against Augsburg, and they actually tied 1-1. And Christian Pulisic came on for the final 13 minutes of this game, so he didn't even
much of an impact
get the start.
For the 13 minutes he was on. I didn't get to catch the game, but
so no, he didn't really make much of an impact. He kind of was just running around, always looking for the ball. Played some pretty good defense. Obviously, it was a very choppy game when he came in. Augsburg and Dortmund were kind of going at it at the end of that game, so he didn't get too many opportunities to really, cement himself on the game or his quality on the game. But it's obviously not promising that he came on as a substitute in that game. So again, we'll have to keep monitoring his situation and
gotta hope for the best with Pulisic.
Yeah, I mean, he's our best player, like we've seen. He's our brightest light, best hope for.
He's our brightest young American abroad.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So now we want to switch gears and we want to go to the Premier League again. So Pat, how did DeAndre Yedlin do this weekend?
Yeah, so DeAndre Yedlin, and I want to mention this because the last episode against Man United. We were talking about he actually got his 50th appearance for Newcastle.
Hey,
so congratulations to Yedlin, number 50. So I mean, obviously this most recent game against Bournemouth was 51 there, but it was an okay game for Yedlin. Personally, from what I saw, kind of his usual defending as kind of sketchy one-on-one situations, giving too much space to the out wide players in Bournemouth that were able to whip in balls quick, which I really wish he'd closed down a little more. But they also gave away a 2-goal lead there at the end, so they were up 2-0 at halftime, and Bournemouth clawed their way back in the the last I think it was the 80 something, and then the 88th minute they both scored their goals there, and the first goal they had was an unbelievable strike, just kind of outside the 18 a little bit.
Yeah,
I saw that on the beautiful, knuckled in. It was beautiful, but you can't really blame Yedlin for that. It was more of a, an amazing strike, and so cool. So, but it is exciting to see Yedlin. He actually was quoted. There's an article with NBC Sports there where he was with Rafa Benitez and just talking about him as a manager and how it's improved his defending, Austin. And like we've mentioned, I'm sure you've seen for the U.S. You can point out some of his flaws for defending there.
Yeah, I mean we've talked about them kind of in previous episodes. So
yeah.
But it's good to see that Rafa Benitez has taken to him. It sounds like, and he's taken to Rafa's coaching. So hopefully he's learning a lot about the position of right back, and we've seen a little bit of that so far.
In the article, as he mentions, just being more awareness, positionally aware, I think is kind of the right terminology I'm looking for. Understanding the tactics of Rafa Benitez and his demands as a defensive unit there. So he's really understanding positionally where he's supposed to be in times of, does Newcastle need to press up higher, or do we need to sit back against some of those top teams like Liverpool or Man City that press higher up? So it's good to see, that Yedlin is learning a lot from his time battling from the Championship all the way back up to the Premier League. So, exciting to see where he goes from here.
Yeah, hopefully not back to the Championship.
Yeah, hopefully not back to the Championship.
Yeah.
So,
but he's gotten good experience all year long. So, again, now we want to segue into a brand new player. First time we're talking about this player, and that would be Romain Gall, who's in Sweden right now. They just started their season, but he had a good preseason. So, Pat, can you give us some more info on Romain Gall and where he's at in his career right now?
Yeah, so Romain Gall, just a quick little profile of him. He's actually 23 now, so he's toiling away in the Swedish division there, the first division obviously, and like Austin said in preseason, he was putting up some good goals and assists, and even these past 2 games in the Swedish Cup, he was able to score and find the back of the net in each of them, for his team there.
GIF Svinsval. He didn't want to
GIF
say it
Svinsval.
first.
Yeah, I didn't want to, I tried to pronounce Eric Palmer Brown's team. But
So I heard he's one of the best players on that team. I think, he's a player that has potentially a U.S. men's national team future. He's only 23 right now. So is he someone that you think we should be looking at this future, this coming year, see if maybe he can make an impact?
Sure. So
the men's national team, or
I mean it's kind of a tough scenario. I'd say with the position the men's national team is right now, it wouldn't hurt per se. And he does have try him out a little bit. He's been in good form, and it is a little lower level of a league, honestly, just compared to if you're looking even at the Netherlands, France, Spain, all those.
You know who else plays in Sweden?
Oh yeah, the Man City legend.
Yeah. And then mixed this career,
But back to Romain Gall there. He has some great strengths going forward and able to really good attacker's instinct of finding the back of the net. and he's been showcasing that in his last few games. And maybe if his team can push for a Europa League spot or just kind of climb up there, hopefully, wishful thinking again. My bad. But again, like if he keeps this form up, and I guess I mentioned he scored the last 2 games, it'll be exciting to see where he goes in the next few months, and maybe this will propel into another move, or we'll see where it goes from there. But again, we want to talk about another player that actually got a break. Is another with the U.S. camp we talked about recently, and kind of kickstart his career again, Austin.
We hope.
We hope. I can't cross my fingers.
Yeah, and that would be Rubio Rubin. So Rubio Rubin actually made his Liga MX debut this weekend. He started in the Xolos game against Club America, and Xolos is Club Tijuana, his club. So he played, he played the whole game, and he actually had a nice cross in extra time that almost, ended in a goal, but unfortunately the keeper made a great save. The Club America keeper, that is.
And didn't you say during the entire game, it was Rubio Rubin had to kind of chase around, and they didn't have necessarily the most possession?
Yeah, it looked like Club America kind of dominated the game, and Club Tijuana was kind of chasing the whole game. So Rubio Rubin kind of played a lot more defensive in that left wing position. He did not start as a striker, so that's something to keep an eye on. Club Tijuana might move him around.
Okay, so they have him more of a winger position. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, and so I heard he looked okay. Obviously, when they're chasing the game, he didn't have too many opportunities to really make an impact offensively. But I heard he whipped in 2 or 3 really good crosses, and his best one was in extra time where they almost scored off of it. Nice. So it sounds like he made a pretty good impact in his first game, and it's important to note that this game is actually the first game he started since he started for FC Utrecht on August 21st, 2016.
That's a long, I don't know how to watch, but that's a long time ago.
Yeah, it's over a year and a half ago. So that's exciting for Rubio, and that's good for him, and that's something we're very excited about.
Because he had a lot of potential in his Utrecht there, and the Eredivisie. That was an exciting time for him, and then he just kind of toiled away a little bit in Norway's league there.
Yeah, well, he didn't play much in Norway, and then when he was in Denmark, he didn't even play
in Denmark too.
Either,
so it's exciting though, and I know Rubio Rubin kind of has that that hunger, the mentality that he really wants to just be on the offensive attack, and so hopefully some of his good qualities will shine in Mexico, and that's an exciting league. Definitely need to watch a little more of the that league.
Mexican league.
It's exciting though. It's
we can't only watch Club Leon and Landon Donovan.
Yeah,
now watch Club Tijuana as well.
That's not a young American, but
that's fair. So finally now the last player we want to talk about in this segment is Kenny Saif. So how has Kenny looked at Anderlecht recently?
Yeah, so finally Kenny Saif, who has been playing really well during Anderlecht's drought of 5 winless games, really, with draws and losses.
He started off great there.
Great loan, or coming from Ghent, right? Was it?
Yeah.
So that was great to see him really transition into a top Belgian team, and it actually pulled them into 3rd place, 1 point behind Charleroi. Yeah. So, and again, like I mentioned, they won 5-3 against Mouscron there. It was a really scrappy, kind of wild game again, but Kenny Saif was able to bring the team under control, maintain that possession like we've talked about before, and whipped in a beautiful cross out of the goalie's range beautifully onto one of the strikers there for Anderlecht. So it was an easy finish for him, right on the dime there. So that was exciting to see, and hopefully Kenny Saif can keep producing these good results, because it'd be interesting to see where he would fit in with the U.S.
Yeah, I hope he gets called in March, but I'm not really sure where the U.S. is going to go for that March friendly. They might take a team that's young again, or they might try to take some of these more established players. But yeah, like we've talked about before, we're big fans of Kenny Saif. Yeah. We hope he gets that U.S. men's national team run.
He's still kind of youngish.
Gets tried out. Yeah, he's still, 24?
Yeah, around that age,
Yeah, he's got plenty of time to play for the U.S. men's national team. So we'll again continue to see what he does this year for Anderlecht, and like we said, we're excited about him. And now, for our final segment, Quick Kicks.
So you could test Dwayne Miller. It's Altidore over the wall, and that one is in! Josie Altidore from a long way out
guys have maybe seen in some of our past few episodes, Quick Kicks is our final segment that we end each show with, and we basically touch on a few performances over the past week of some of our players in a quicker fashion.
So Austin, the first player we're going to start off with is Keaton Parks over at Benfica B. He actually scored the lone goal in a 1-1 draw in the Segunda division.
Nice. And now we want to segue over to Weston McKennie, who actually returned to Schalke's first team training this week.
Finally.
So hopefully we'll get to see Weston McKennie in a Schalke jersey before the international break at the end of March.
And game-winning goal alert with Shaq Moore over in Spain with Levante's reserve side.
Okay.
A 91st minute game winner and a 2-1 win.
That's nice. And now we want to move on to Nick Tadigui. So Nick Tadigui actually scored 2 goals this week Actually has 2 goals in 3 games ever since he returned from injury.
So
that's exciting and something to keep monitoring.
Nice. And last but not least, we got Mukwelle Akale with Villarreal. He's actually on the C team there. We haven't talked about him too much. He's actually 21 years old there, and he scored 2 goals and provided 1 assist in this previous game in a 3-2 win. So that's a great sign to see.
Yeah, that's exciting. And thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe down below.
And also make sure to check out our Instagram and Twitter pages as well.
That's right. Yeah, or leave a comment in the comment section. We'd love to interact with you guys.
And Austin, what's that last saying?
You know, it's destiny. It's destiny. We have to win the World Cup one day.
One day.
We have to. One day, we will.